What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Backliners podcast. It's Aggro and backliner as per usual. Barry, we took a week off last week. Your audio isn't working, and that is as we all knew it would happen. No, it's not you. It's me. I'm at the end of my rope with this program. I'm gonna uninstall the whole thing. And I'm going to reinstall it. And that's what I'm going to hope it's working. But I noticed early this time, we haven't had a week off the podcast in so long that it felt very weird to not do number one. And number two, coming back now to do this episode, I feel like we haven't done it in so long. We only skipped for like a week. It really wasn't that much.
Yeah, not going to lie, on that Tuesday, I was like, it was like 5 or 6 p.m. I was like, am I supposed to be streaming right now? Like, are we doing a podcast?
Yeah.
And I kept having to remind myself. It was like when you have like homework due.
Yep.
And you keep
it's like
thinking,
in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
You can't quite get it out. You're like, no, I don't have to do it. Yeah, I totally get that.
Do you have it when you wake up and you're freaking out that you're like late for school or late for college or like you have something due? That still happens to me, and I don't know why.
No, my stepmom was talking about that when they were visiting this weekend, I think, at some point, or last week. Still having those dreams. Or maybe it was someone else I was talking to. I was talking to someone older than me, which is hard to find in the Smite community. It's basically you that is the only one I talk to. Sorry to throw you under the bus. But I know someone with more life experience than me. That's what I'm going to call it. Not old, more life experience than me.
Wisdom.
Not always, but you have to say what you will. You have to admit it is more experience, right? Not always good experience, but that's the way it goes. Sometimes that's how it is. Can you believe it's already time for the Smite World Championship qualifiers to be going on? Kind of crazy how quickly the end of the year has come upon us. I was like, looking forward to Thanksgiving break. I came back from Thanksgiving break. I was syncing with the team this week, and they were like, yeah, we only have like 3 weeks worth of work until like Christmas starts coming around, and so we got to kind of have everything for season 10 ready to go pretty soon. And I was like, oh Lord, this is it's all happening real quick. And that includes playoffs time. But I guess it makes sense. I'm hearing about teams double blocking and all that kind of stuff, even during, not taking breaks over Thanksgiving. That's like unheard of historically, but with qualifiers around the corner, I suppose it makes sense. And it starts with the SWC playoffs. Phase 3 playoffs is what it's officially called. This weekend, 4 teams will automatically qualify to the Smite World Championship, which is really, really crazy. Oh my God, you're right. Thank you, Minotaur. We didn't talk about any roster changes that happened because the Bugs had another roster change.
Oh yeah, who would have guessed?
Yeah, who would have guessed? I mean, it's a week and the Scarabs are in the SPL, so that means that they have to make a roster change.
Or get a roster change forced upon them.
Or get another roster change forced upon them, which is how it has to happen. The Kings drop Metroid, pick up Yarkor. The Scarabs take Metroid under their wings, like the beetle wings that is their logo.
I like that.
And also decide to move on from BaRRaCCuDDa and play with Snoopy. We talked about BaRRaCCuDDa getting dropped right before the break, I remember now. But we didn't talk about this shift. If you guys haven't, by the way, I watched Hazer had an interview with Genetics and with Metroid on his YouTube channel.
Spicy.
That were really, really cool and very informative and really great content. So I highly recommend you checking those out. If you just YouTube Hazer Smite interview, you'll find it. What were your thoughts when you heard the news of the roster change going down initially, BaRRa?
Kind of shocked, because I thought Kings were pretty happy with their roster and pretty happy with the way they were playing, so I assume it was... I haven't watched Azer's videos, but I assume it was something internally, because I don't think Metroid was having a bad, personal performance by any means. And I I've always had like a ton of respect for Metroid, so on top of that, I just didn't really expect him to get dropped. Also, I thought Metroid and Gen X were like a really good 2v2 lane. I thought they played really well off of each other. But I mean, it sucks for Royd. I mean, as someone in chat pointed out, that's the second time that he's been dropped for Yark.
Yeah, that is wild.
So that has to sting, but it's kind of crazy.
Has that happened before? In all the years of SPL, has someone been dropped for the same player twice? I'm struggling. I kind of feel like it has to have happened just based on how many players like stay in the system for so long, but I can't think of another example. Adjust for Mask. Oh, that's a name. What a call, Sino. Yeah,
right. Jeez, Sino.
Goodness, Sino.
He's got really... the yearbooks out.
Yeah, seriously. If we're counting the Smite Console League SCL, Uzzy for like literally anyone would also count because we dropped Uzzy like every other week on our team. Shout out Uzzy, I love that guy. But yeah, I was kind of in your same boat, BaRRa. I was not expecting the Kings to make a change, but I think this does increase my perception of this team pretty substantially. And it's partially to do with Metroid versus Yarkor in their quality as players. I think Metroid has one of, if not the highest ceilings of any ADC in the SPL. But I think he also has a pretty big distance between his ceiling and his floor. That's a fancy way of saying I think he's fairly inconsistent. I think that Metroid is incredibly similar to another fan favorite ADC of years gone by, and that's Arkil. I feel like he's just Arkil. And that he is going to pop off and 1v4 the enemy team from time to time. And other times he's going to make decisions that are game losing. And that is a quality. If you have to have a player like that, I think it is best to have that player in ADC. That's the right role for that type of dynamic. You would hope that after some time, the floor would get raised and you could keep those pop-off moments and lose the game-losing moments. I think PandaCat is like a good example of a player who was like that at times early on in his career where he would sell a team fight trying to make a play and int it away and lose his team the game. And he just learned to rein that in, but he still has that pop-off potential. And I think that Metroid still hasn't quite gotten there on... But I don't know. Metroid's a little bit different. I think that the big thing that I've noticed forever with Metroid, and you can tell me if you disagree with this, Barry, but I think Metroid still really struggles with his late game team fight positioning and relic usage. And just like general situation understanding. Like that dude loves getting Athena taunted, like dash Athena taunted without beads. And it's like, you just have to get to a point as a player that you aren't going to let that happen to you. You know what I mean? Like you've got to be better about playing around these telegraph situations. And that's something that I've always had a gripe with Metroid. But then he does things that absolutely floor me and blow me away and has so much foresight and so much game understanding and sees the flow of the team fight so well. So you know it's there. It just hasn't been there consistently. Maybe... I mean, certainly getting dropped at this point in the season by a team that's competing for a world championship is going to fire you up as a player. And I hope that really locks him in because that can happen to a player. But yeah, that's my general thought on Metroid. And I think the Kings are more likely to succeed with Yarkor. But I think the Scarabs could also be more likely to succeed just because if Metroid gets hot, like Metroid just gets hotter than Yarkor, right? So like on the right, if he has a solo Retrol like performance where Sot like nearly solo carried that team to semifinals last year at Worlds, like Metroid could kind of do the same thing for them if it lands on the right roll, you know, that weekend.
Yeah, I think this is one of the few roster changes where both teams actually got better. And I feel like that is a very rare case for a team to be forced into a roster change and both of them come out better. I feel like that happens like maybe 10% of the time, maybe less.
Yeah.
Because we were scrimming bugs and they've just the way they're playing is so much more concise and they just play a lot more confident now. But it could be like Snoopy as well, doing a lot of the calls and a lot of just plays around the map, I guess. But yeah, I was really impressed with Bugs. We actually scrimmed them today, and I was really impressed.
They looked really good in their final week of games. I was impressed as well. You know, I think Snoopy, you know, it's no secret that Snoopy and I are good friends, but you want to, again, another player who has a lower floor but a high ceiling, even among other SPL players. When Snoop is in the zone, he has game-changing potential.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think Snoopy has one of the highest ceilings, but I don't think he's been at that ceiling in a very, very, very long time.
Yes. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I want to say it was like maybe season 3 or 4, maybe 2. I can't remember when Snoopy, like, he literally did miss. Like, he was one of the best players, if not, like, the best player in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think season 2, he was pretty, before Kenneth, like, asserted his dominance, I felt like Snoopy was the best player in the SPL. In
like an evil overlord.
Yeah, seriously. Before Kenneth assumed the mantle, stepped to the throne,
right?
You know, when they were still an up-and-coming team, I feel like Snoopy was near, like, you would have a hard argument against Snoopy being the best player in the SPL at that point.
Yep, I completely agree. But yeah, I mean, he's always been, like, a pretty flexible player, so I think the meta in mid is pretty flexible right now. And also, I think him, like, their mid 3v3 all being, I mean, it's going to be mean, but, like, them all being friends together. Like, I'm pretty sure Hurry, Sam, and Snoop are all pretty good friends.
Yep.
So you can bounce things off way easier, and he can come into a team kind of much easier than, like, 4 random people trying to work with a random mid laner.
Right.
Yeah, I was just very impressed with them today in scrims. I think that they've gotten much better. I mean, obviously, like, we played Kings, so we haven't scrimmed Kings with
Right.
Yark, but I also think Yark changes their identity a lot. They're probably less of a farming team, less of a let's do these golds, do these pyros, and much more aggressive, especially duo side.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what the Kings continue to look like. I think that it's going to be easier for the Scarabs to make quick bursts of improvement with their changes, and it's going to take longer for the Kings to really see the fruits of this change. It may have come too late for them to be in peak form right at Worlds, but it might not have. And I'm really excited to see what that roster does. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think for the Scarabs, with the year that they've had and the roster that they started with, for them to have this roster now, in my general feeling on the success rate or the chances of success for this team, having to, like, there is no better formula for a team that's had this much turnover and this much tumultuous change than to have 2 players who have lower floors, but also have the potential to just pop off, hit everything, win the game for you instantly. Like, that's kind of the perfect scenario, right? Like, that doesn't take as much team coordination or anything like that. It's like, yeah, maybe we'll just get lucky and our pop-off players will both pop off, and things will go well for us. I think if you were asking me, maybe it's just recency bias over the last week that they played with this new roster, but if you ask me which team had a better chance to place well at Worlds, this current Scarabs roster or the Scarabs roster that they had day 1 of the start of the season of SPL,
I honestly don't remember what it was.
It is totally different. It was Stewart, Inbound, Scream, BaRRaCCuDDa, Scary D.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree.
I think I'd rather have this roster.
Yeah, also, I mean, I think that team just had so many, like, cohesive issues, and I think that team really only looked good when Scream was making, like, 900 plays around the map.
Yep.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. It'll be fun, man. Dude, I'm getting amped for Worlds, man. I'm bought in. I'm stoked. It's going to be awesome. All right, before we move on to talking about playoffs as a whole and every team there, not just some of them, because the Scarabs aren't even there, we have a quick read here from our sponsor, Betterhelp, because this show is sponsored by Betterhelp. Look, we talk a lot about how important we feel therapy is and how important it is. There's a conversation that I was literally having like multiple times in the last week with a bunch of people that I know. It is really, really important to find a healthy outlet for the problems that you're having or the problems that you could have in the future or the problems you have had in the past. And this time of year especially is very emotionally charged for a lot of people, you know, a lot of family stuff and whatnot. And it's just always good to have an outside person who isn't an expert on you yet, but is an expert on how brains work, and just understanding how your brain works, I think is like unbelievably important. So that's why we're really happy to work with BetterHelp, to try and connect some people to some therapists more easily and a little bit more stress-free, because it can be stressful for sure. BetterHelp has connected over 3 million people with licensed therapists. It's convenient and accessible anywhere. It's 100% online. You can get video sessions. You could do phone sessions. You could do text sessions. All of those are options for you. And that's really, really having that flexibility, I think, is really key for sure. So as the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. And if things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. So learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/backliners. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/backliners. Shout out to BetterHelp. Find a therapist. It'll be good for you. I promise. Okay. Phase 3 playoffs. So the way this works, it's the top 6 SPL teams. So that means everybody except for the Scarabs and the Valkyries is going to be playing this upcoming weekend. Well, starting on Thursday, so December 1st. 4 teams of these 6 are going to automatically qualify for the World Championship. Won't have to play in the group stage bracket whatsoever. This is obviously huge, because you don't have to, you get to watch this whole tournament. It lets you hide your strats a lot better. It lets you focus on your practice a lot more and not have to worry about, playing against some pretty difficult SEC teams that are looking pretty good at this time of year. And the seeding matters a lot, because the number 1 seed gets to choose who they face in the quarterfinals. And then the number 2 seed gets to choose after that, number 3 seed after that, so on and so forth. So this is really, really big, even up until Sunday. That is just all about those seeding options. And we kick it off on Thursday with the Oni Warriors up against the Tartarus Titans, and then the Kings versus the Bolts. So let's kind of go with the matchups first here, Barry. Warriors versus Titans, 2 teams that have looked pretty good at times during the season, have also looked pretty not so good. I think the Titans have not looked particularly inspired since getting Stewart. Not bad by any stretch, but there hasn't been any type of noticeable revitalization of this team.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yet, it's possible, but I feel like if you're removing a player like Cyclone Spin, there needs to be a benefit that is visible in the gameplay at some level, and the fact that Stewart has come in and played fine doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, but sometimes the Oni Warriors will go out there and you don't know which version of them you're going to get.
I feel that way about both teams.
Yeah.
Warriors the last half haven't looked great. Titans the last half haven't looked great. I mean, compared to the top 3 in my opinion. I just feel they're both trying to find their footing, and they're slipping a lot. And I mean, I have faith in I think solo lane is the biggest turning point for both of these teams. And I feel like most likely, in my opinion, this set will be won through solo. Not SOT, but solo lane itself. I think whoever gets ahead is just going to control the game. And I don't think I'm really going crazy about their either duo lane or either mid jungle in this set. I really think it's if SOT's kept under control or if Nika is kept under control, I think that's where the set goes in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm really confused about this set to call it one way or the other right now.
Me too, because I'm thinking about how these two teams play the game. What is their game plan? What is their identity? And I couldn't really tell you definitively for either team. And we're at playoffs time. These are... I've ranted about this on the podcast forever, that I think teams should have clear identities that they draft around, they play the map around, and they are known for. And then you can work on, okay, if everyone knows we're doing this, we can start doing this to counter what they're going to do because they know we're going to do that. All that kind of stuff. But teams, I feel like the Warriors and the Titans, my biggest issue with these two teams is that they feel like teams that still just kind of show up and try and out-smite game you, just generally,
Yeah, that's fair.
They don't feel very focused to me. And that's not a criticism of their effort level or anything like that. What I mean by focused is I don't feel like they have an overarch. They couldn't give me the headline of how their team wins the vast majority of their games.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And the Titans, I feel the same way. The Titans do always show up for big LAN events. The last 3 years, Aurora and Co. have always played better during playoff events than regular season events.
Yeah, I mean, I love Stu, and I think Stu's incredibly good mechanically, but I would have more faith in this roster if they had Spinner for this playoffs than Stu.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just feel like Spinner was able to control what they were doing so much better, and I don't think Stu. This is literally no harping on Stu. I just don't think Stu is that kind of play around me I'm gonna call everything player, which I don't think an ADC needs to be. I'm not saying that at all. I just think their team dynamic and comm dynamic has changed so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because that team is fairly private in comparison to a lot of SPL teams. SOT obviously streams a ton. Aurora's been streaming a lot recently. I've been tuning into his streams a lot and enjoying those, but they aren't quite as vocal, I feel like, among the community as other teams, which is not a negative. That's who they are, and that's totally fine. But it's kind of hard to tell how different their team dynamic has been. We'll see. That does feel like nearly a true toss-up to me.
I feel that's literally a coin flip.
My brain is telling me Titans, but my gut is telling me Warriors.
Yeah, my gut and brain are still confused. Yeah. My brain's just telling me it's a coin flip, and I feel like both teams like. I mean, if Warriors show up, like Titans are gonna get blown out. If Titans show up, Warriors are gonna get blown out. I don't know.
I feel like this set is gonna take 4.5 hours. That's my feeling. It's a best of 3, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be like 3 45-minute games. Is like what? Okay, it isn't actually gonna be that. I think it's gonna be 2 20-minute games and then a 75-minute game. Is like what's likely to happen. I'm going to go Warriors in that set, but boy, do I not feel confident in that. You want to make a call, or are you leaving it at the flip?
I'm leaving the flip. I genuinely can't make a call.
I respect it. Maui is playable this weekend, was a question in chat. All right, then after them, after you wait 4.5 hours, it'll be Kings versus the Bolts. The new look Kings versus the still somewhat new look Bolts. Barry, I thought that you guys have looked better every week through the end of the regular season. You know, I think that from an outside perspective, the coherence and the teamwork was continuing to improve. The question is that enough to beat the Kings, who just made this change? We just spent a lot of time talking about how good we think Yarkort is. How are you feeling about this set heading into
it? Coin flip.
Wow, we're just do they even have to play, or are we just flipping coins the whole time?
I mean, I think we should flip coins. No, but I genuinely I do think we've gotten better and better, but I respect Kings a lot, and like we talked about earlier, I think they got better. I think both teams got better with the swap. And I don't think we played against Kings in a while. I want to say it's been like 3 weeks, maybe. Because I don't think we didn't play them last week, and then we didn't play them. Obviously, we didn't scrim them over Thanksgiving, so it's been a long time since like both of our teams. Have
November
played against
11th, and that was a 2-1 victory for the Kings. So many weeks ago.
I mean, I think we have a relatively good matchup into them, regardless. But I do think I will say it, but I think on tournament days, sometimes we show up, sometimes we don't. So if we show up, cool. If not, unlucky, and then we play the next time we play. Not saying like we're gonna lose. Like, oh gosh darn, my team's terrible, or like I'm terrible. But like it's just like the history. Like I'm not gonna like lie and disregard that. Just I really hope we show up on tournament day.
Yeah, I mean, your team's struggles have certainly been there during playoff events this year. The Kings have struggled historically at times in playoff events as well. You know, they've performed better this year than in previous years, but overall still have not shaken that lingering doubt, I feel like, in the back of my mind about you never know if they're gonna play to their best or have a bit of a head scratcher. I think this set, you know, obviously I don't expect you to comment on this part of the discussion a whole lot because you are actually strategizing on how to best attack this set. I think this set mostly comes down to support. You know, genetics is obviously the driving force for the Kings. That's no secret. I think he's played very well this year, and the Kings have played well as a result. I think historically, when the Kings have looked lost, it's because genetics and Twig lose control of the flow of the game. And Jake has kept a lot of his pop-off potential this year, but I think has regressed a little bit on the floor. I think he's had some stinkers that he didn't have last year, and that obviously can't be the day for it. But he still has that pop-off potential that if Jake has a good day in particular, I think that the way Jake has good games is really disruptive and very different to other, like, when Mike has a good game, it's because he's in your face, constantly on top of you, all over the place. You can't move. Jake, like, I feel like Jake's really good games are obviously he's hitting everything, and he's just in, like, weird spots. Like, why is he there? And why is that so right perfect? Now. Like, it's like he like sees through the levels of the game and like pops, like he like popping out of the ground in these like places you don't expect, and they're perfect and they're genius. Like, it's like not
a Diglett.
Yeah, like a Diglett, exactly. He's just popping up. He's over here, and he's going off. And so I think that is a style that if he's on a roll, is really good at disrupting flow and that kind of stuff. And I think that is historically where the Kings have struggled. So if Jake, not to put it all on Jake, it obviously is never just on one player, but that's the matchup that I'm going to be watching the most closely is how does Jake look, and is Genetics able to maintain control of the flow of the game from beginning to end. But I think this set, the Kings, the higher seed, and obviously just been more consistent during the regular season. So I think for the majority of people, they're expecting a Kings victory. I'm going to predict a Kings victory and apologize to you for doing so right in front of your face. But
that's completely fair.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, I feel like I don't really need to have an opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think you do at all. And that brings us to Friday, where we go to best of fives, and the winner goes to Worlds, which is really awesome. So if the Leviathans get the winner of game one, so they get the winner of Oni versus Tartarus Titans, and then the Dragons will get the winner of the Kings and Bolts set. Both of us are kind of on the fence on who the Leviathans are playing. I think the Leviathans are playing at a level right now that the only way they lose is if they int it. They are back to form. They are looking like Leviathans of old. Panatom is controlling pace from minute one, just absolutely dominating. Haddox has really nicely slotted into this team now. This team is looking like the Leviathans that we expected kind of all year. Doesn't matter that that they weren't doing that in the middle of the year now. As long as they're able to turn it on and keep it up at this playoffs, I expect them to win against whoever they play on that Friday and punch their ticket to Worlds. How about you?
I would be flabbergasted if that even went to 4 games for that match 3. I genuinely can't see Titans or Warriors showing all of their strats the day before and then having to play against Leviathans and having a good showing. And I do feel like Titans and Warriors are the kind of teams where they don't really have that many strategies. I feel like you could look at drafts of both of them on paper, like just blind, and know that it's a Warriors or a Titans draft. And I feel like Leviathans, drafting wise, on tournament day is normally just better than other teams at drafting. And if Warriors and Titans are going to lose drafts to Leviathans, then they don't have a chance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I generally agree. That is a good point about their drafting. And, we talk a decent amount about, Slaney going to the Titans and, coaches around the league. It certainly has to do with the language barrier, I think, as to why Oxy doesn't get nearly as much discussion among the best coaches in the league. I don't know what type of coach Oxy really is. I don't know if he's a big picks and bans guy. I don't know if he's more of a personality guy, trying to make sure that everyone's on the same page. But boy, is that team consistently good at drafting. Like, so rarely do they just completely botch one. And I think regardless of if Oxy's super involved with that part of the game or another part of the game, doesn't really matter. He certainly deserves a lot more credit than he gets. But Leviathans are not a team that beat themselves very often. Like, when they lose, I feel like they don't really do anything. They don't influence the game. The game just kind of happens around them. But they don't throw it in drafting or on the battlefield pretty much ever. And that is like so... It is wild that we are nearly in Season 10 and a viable strategy so often, ask, the SKPK rings, is just, I'm just going to not lose the game. I'm not going to win it, but I'm just going to not lose it. And how often that works. Leviathans are the team that don't lose it, but also actively win it the vast majority of the time. Which is why they've won a lot of Smite games. I don't see a world where they don't win this set.
Yeah, I completely agree. If it goes to 4 games, I'll be shocked, and if it goes to 5, something somewhere went very wrong for Leviathans.
Yeah, it is hard to do it. Do you think that because obviously they didn't play super well in spring or summer, they made this roster change, all that kind of stuff, but we talked, I know I said at one point that it seemed to me from the outside looking in that they had just lost some drive, some hunger, and so many players, like, I would hear it all the time, like, oh, it's summer, it's summer split, like, I'm gonna turn on the Jets come fall split, that's when I'm gonna really care. That, I think, is total nonsense. I think it is. There are players who are capable of doing it. Everyone says they're doing it, but it's not guaranteed. I think that is probably what has happened here for the Leviathans, and I hate it because now everyone just thinks that that's what's happening to all teams who are playing poorly in spring and summer who are underperforming.
I think it's a roster change. I think that team would not be playing well in fall split if they didn't do the roster change.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Haddix has certainly played well, and we know what type of player he is behind the scenes as well. It's not just his mechanics. It's a strong voice and comms and all that kind of stuff.
I just mean, I think those are the kind of players that get set in their ways, and a roster change for some people, like for Dragons when they got Scream, was a revitalize. For Leviathans when they got Haddix, revitalize. But I don't think that happens obviously with every roster change, but I think with those players in specific, I think it really makes a big mental difference.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And if they did, if it was, whether it was the roster change or the fact that maybe they had lost a little bit of hunger, maybe it was just because they had subscribed to Factor meals and they weren't as hungry in the middle of the day anymore as they used to be. With the bustling holiday season now here, it's the perfect time to plan ahead with Factor, a ready-to-eat meal delivery system. They shop, prep, cook, and deliver to your door so you can enjoy chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals during the holidays, minus the hassle. If anyone else hosted Thanksgiving at their house and did all the cooking and all the cleaning and all that kind of stuff, the thought of doing more cooking and cleaning, I'm sure, is like the last thing on earth that you want to do. So it makes it the perfect time to try Factor, because not only is it more convenient, faster, easier, it's absolutely delicious, and it's really, really easy. And they've got a million different options. And by a million, I mean 34 meals per week and 36 plus add-on options. They've got smoothies, juices, snacks. Barry, I'm reading this ad, and I'm thinking, this is targeting me. Like, I don't want to be doing any more cooking and cleaning with how busy we are.
Are you still good at eating?
Me?
Yeah. Are you still doing chips and salsa?
Yeah, I love chips and salsa.
Oh, yeah, you need Factor, bro.
I really do. I had chips and salsa.
Not dietitian approved.
I do need Factor. Listen to my lunch today, dear podcast listener. I was proud of myself. This is how you know it's bad. I was proud of myself that I actually took more than 2 seconds to make myself something for lunch. I had 2 hot dogs and chips and salsa.
Bro.
That's what I had. It was delicious. Yep. And that was good for me. That was probably the best lunch.
What's bad for you?
most of the time it's just absolutely nothing, or it is just chips and salsa.
Maybe air is better than that diet.
Well, it's not good for me. I know that. Listen, for dinner we had salmon and broccoli. Okay, we had a good dinner. That's good. But the lunch is where I need the help.
Lunch.
Bro, I'm doing my best out here, Barra. I need some factor. On God, it is my body. More than anyone. This is an ad read for me. The good news is all I have to do is head on over to go.factor75.com/backliners60 and use code backliners60 to get 60% off your first box. That's code backliners60 at go.factor75.com/backliners60 to get 60% off your first box. There you go. That is, I'm going to be, well, I've already gotten a box, so it won't be my first box, but I'll be happier and healthier for it. That's for sure. All right, final game on Friday will be the Dragons versus the winner of Kings and Bolts. Dragons as well, you know, after their roster change in summer, they looked pretty unbeatable. Came into fall, didn't get first place, but didn't lose the top spot in a way that concerns me in any way. You know, took some losses to some interesting team setups. You know, they kept doing the scream mid, Pagon jungle type of thing. Didn't see that in a while after a loss that way, so that's a good sign in my opinion. I'm not, you know, it is, as someone who's followed the SPL for a long time, you would have to be a little bit dishonest in order to feel super confident about how a Dragons team is going to play at LAN, no matter what.
Yep.
They have lost that assumption over the years. But we also know that they are capable of looking as dominant as like the Leviathans did during their Worlds run last year, where they looked untouchable. So you never know with the Dragons. What do you think? I mean, this could obviously be you guys coming out of the set beforehand. It could be the Kings. This set feels more in contention. For sure.
I agree. But I will say we have always struggled against Dragons on tournament day. So if it's us, I think, and we'll give it our all, but we'll see what happens. And if it's Kings, I don't really know how to feel about Kings and Dragons, because I mean, it's a kind of a new style in my opinion of Kings. So I think maybe they can have more, like I said earlier, like more fighting in duo side of the map, more pressure over there. I don't know. I just think Dragons are kind of a team that sometimes just beat themselves. I think they try to do too much, but if they play clean and if they play concise, I don't think that they will lose to us or Kings, in my opinion. But I mean, Dragons are one of the most consistent teams on tournament day, so yeah. I think Kings obviously have a better shot than us against Dragons in that, like, the 1v1 matchup, but yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the Kings it was a 5-game set to finish summer finals, where the Dragons beat the Kings 3-2. I think that both, I mean, the Kings certainly haven't proven that they can beat that team at a big event yet. I think that they have that mental hurdle to beat. As you alluded to, you guys have matched up a ton. Hurdle doesn't do it justice. You know, the mental Everest to get over.
For me, it's not even like a mental. It's just like, I just hope we play well that day. And then every time against Dragons, it's just like we're playing scared or like we're thinking too much. And I'm just like, if we could just play confidently and normal, like these games would be so much easier. But it's like people just play differently sometimes on tournament day. So
yeah,
hopefully we don't have one of those. But yeah. I mean, obviously, I still think we are in the ramp-up process, as we talked about earlier.
Yep.
So, I mean, if this tournament doesn't go our way, I still have a lot of confidence in the Saturday games, too. Yeah.
Yeah. We will... I think that Leviathans and Dragons being the first two teams to qualify for Worlds is by far the most likely scenario.
Yep.
But I think the Kings are the team that could upset that. Who knows with the Warriors and Titans, but we'll have to wait and see. So that brings us to Saturday and Sunday, which are the last chances to qualify and then seeding. If it goes the way that it seems like we have that we've been talking about so far, that would be the loser of match 2 versus the loser of match 3. So that would be the Bolts. If the Kings win on Thursday, that would be you guys up against the Warriors or Titans, whoever won that set and then lost to the Leviathans. Loser has to play through the group stage bracket. Winner gets to go to Worlds and play for seeding the next day. Then the opposite, on the other side of the bracket. Basically, now that we're down in this area, I think it's just easiest to say among the Warriors, Titans, Kings, Bolts, who are the two teams qualifying and who are the two teams having to go to the group stages?
Wait, out of all 6, you said?
Out of if we are both assuming Leviathans and Dragons are qualifying, that means 2 of the Warriors, Titans, Kings, Bolts can qualify, 2 cannot.
I think Kings are making it, and then it's a toss-up between the other 3, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I would be very surprised if the Kings don't make it, but I wouldn't be. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Like, I think it is literally impossible for the Leviathans to not qualify. Something catastrophic would have to happen in order for that to be the case. The Kings, I could see having a rough weekend and you guys step up and one of, or both, of the Warriors or Titans step up, and all of a sudden the Kings lose a lot of confidence and they drop. It's like single-digit % chance. I'm talking like 2%, but it's, I suppose, possible. I agree, though, it's very unlikely. I've also got the Kings going through. If I had to choose one, I won't make you choose for the final spot.
Thank you.
But for me,
I found this on the web.
What do you think, Siri? Dude, Siri has been going off recently. What the heck is she's got to pipe down.
I will say I think we have a much better matchup against Titans Warriors than the other teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, if we end up playing them, I'm very confident in that matchup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been a notorious Warriors hater all year. All off season, all year. I feel like I come on this podcast and just talk about how I haven't bought into that team. And so I'm going to pick them to advance. I'm going to try and change my ways.
Proud of you, buddy.
I'm going to pick Kings and Warriors to go through. But like you said, I really think it could be any of Warriors, Titans, Bolts. I mean, obviously, that's like the whole point of the tournament. But I think that is like a 33, 33, 33.
Yeah, I agree.
Pretty close in that realm is kind of where that leaves me.
Yep. I feel like, in my opinion, Dragons and Levi's are 100%. Kings are like 80%, and then the rest are like 33, 33, 33.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'll be interesting, man. This is going to be a really fun weekend. I'm actually very excited. I don't have any plans or anything like that, like big plans or things going on like I have for like every other weekend of the year. It's felt like I'm actually intending to just sit on my couch and watch some games. And I think that's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, I think that brings us to our random question of the week time. Of course, we are taking these from our Patreon Discord if you want to support the show directly and also get some really good food picks. We're tossed in there for Thanksgiving and all that kind of stuff. And we'll do your random question of the week, of course, which is where we're getting these now. Patreon.com/backliner is the place to go for that. Kicking it off with Jay, who asked, with the new Pokemon game out, what starter did you choose? Did you get the new Pokemon game, BaRRa?
No, that game looks terrible.
It's so good. I'm not kidding.
It looks like a PS2 game.
It looks bad, and it handles poorly.
If that game was literally made by... If it had a different name than Pokemon, people would tear it a new one. But because
it would have never been forced out on its timeline if it had a different name than Pokemon. Like, I'm sure that's what happened. I'm sure that's what happened.
That is also true, but the last two Pokemon games have just looked so bad, and I'm just so annoyed at this point with Pokemon, where I'm just not gonna give them my money. Like, if they're not putting out like actual games, like the fact that people are supporting these games and supporting more games like the new Pokemon, where it's just an unfinished or like an alpha, like, dude, just stop.
Yeah.
They're
think
literally
that's a fair
just
point.
taking your money for free, dude. Like,
it's a fair
come
point.
on, man.
But I will say, it is the most
it's the best Pokemon game ever.
It is the most fun I've had playing a Pokemon game since I played Silver back when I was a kid, which is my favorite Pokemon game by a mile. It has been the gameplay itself has been really, really good and really, really fun, and the world is cool and the Pokemon are cool.
Wait, question: isn't the gameplay just the same as it's always been?
No, it is. It feels very different, and that's why I actually am like, because normally I'm with you. Like, people are like, yeah, WoW is super fun, and I'm like, sure, dude, it looks terrible. I don't want to play it. Like, it looks like garbage. But
yeah, I assumed it was just the same, honestly.
No, it really is very different. It's actually true open world. There are a lot of new mechanics, a ton of quality of life upgrades. Listen to this, BaRRa. You can open up your Pokemon menu to like order your party, and you can simply click make lead Pokemon on one of them, and it goes to the top of your party. Why wasn't that there 10 years ago? I don't know, but it's really nice. There's an auto heal button, so you can just highlight a Pokemon that's hurt, press the little minus button, and it will automatically use potions to get them to full health. So you don't have to go into the sub menu and press use this potion on this Pokemon. It's so nice. Like, it's a ton of those. Oh, the other thing, you have your boxes with you all the time. You can change Pokemon out of your boxes without having to go to a Pokemon Center. You have Fly right away to go anywhere you've been before. Like,
okay, never mind. You're not selling me.
It's so good. It's all of these things that should have been in the game forever ago. I can't hold it against them if they weren't. I'm just glad they're there now. You know, that's where I'm at.
That's fair, but you literally did not increase my opinion at all.
I think that it is perfectly defensible to wait until it gets a lot of bug fixes and performance upgrades. But if they do that, it is unquestionably the best Pokemon game of all time. I think it's inarguable.
Wow.
If they don't, if it remains in this form, it has a lot of things going for it, but how disruptive the performance is takes it out of that title for me. But yeah.
I'm not buying it.
Big fan. I did I took I don't even know I did the thing where I've been showing Joe my Pokemon in my party the entire time and just nicknaming them whatever she calls them, because that's very funny for me. I don't know the name of my starter, but I took the cat, the grass cat, because the internet, I saw on Twitter that someone called it Weed Cat, and I thought that was hilarious, and so I nicknamed it Weed Cat. And that thing is OP, by the way. That thing is good. But your favorite starter of all time, if you don't have it, that's
that's Squirtle, easy.
I can't. No one. I couldn't have helped you. If you could have just said Squirtle from the rip, and I would have known that I wasn't gonna be able to convince you of anything. Charmander is the best starter of all time. He just is.
That's fair.
Then just change your vote. Just say Charmander.
No, I mean, like, it's fair for you to have that opinion, but I'm not going to change.
Okay.
Like, he is the second best, but the second best is right next to the best in this case.
Yeah, here's the thing that loses Squirtle the top spot.
Oh, goodness. You have an argument for this?
Of course. Have you seen Wartortle, my guy?
Okay.
Have you seen Wartortle? His name is
Wartortle. Designed the new Pokemon game.
That thing is terrible. Charmeleon is a beast. Charmeleon might be like Charizard is so cool because he has to somehow out-cool Charmeleon, who is as cool as could be. Charmeleon is awesome. I won't hear anyone telling me Wartortle's better than friggin' Charmeleon. It won't happen. We can all agree that Bulbasaur is a giant sack of crap, right?
Oh, yeah. Easily.
Literally worthless. Yeah, terrible. Anyways, Ivysaur is the coolest second stage, though, I suppose, if I'm using that as part of the argument, except for Charmeleon. Okay, Percy asked, most ideal notification setup for Discord.
Everything muted.
Yeah, you have to mute it all. You just have to.
There's too many channels, and I CBA checking it all the time, and then I only have the SPL Discord on with all the teams, so obviously I can get updates about important things and my team's Discord. Besides that, literally everything's muted.
Yep, mute it all. Can't deal with just in too many Discord servers. I'm also not very good with Discord, even though I use it literally all day, every day.
Maybe we're old.
We are old, for sure. We're super old. I just started putting my Discord servers into folders, instead of just outright leaving them. Because before, if I joined a community Discord for for a Magic the Gathering streamer or something like that, and then I just didn't watch them that much anymore, I would just leave the server. And then I'd be like, oh, now I want to go back in there because there were some deck lists or something that I wanted. Now I just put all of them in a folder, and it's all the Magic ones and all that kind of stuff. Yep. So that's the way it is. 2 R's, 2 C's, 2 D's asks, earbuds or over-the-ear headphones?
Situation, over-ear, at a PC, earbuds, anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably with you on that. AirPods, just their convenience is just... taken over my life. I can't imagine having it. There were a time where I had the big over-ear headphones and I did really like them. I will never ever Mike wears earbuds at his computer. Never happening in a million years. No. That is so uncomfortable for my ears. Not about it. J-Man asks the most overrated and underrated Thanksgiving food items. And if you wish you could add a food item that would be normalized at all Thanksgiving dinner tables, what would it be?
I don't really have what is the most overrated Thanksgiving food item, because I kind of like everything. I like stuffing, I like mac and cheese, I like mashed potatoes. I mean, I did like turkey. I like ham. There's nothing that I really like. Oh my gosh, why do people like this? Mm-hmm. I really don't think I have an opinion here. I just I will literally load up my plate with everything on the table. Thanksgiving
is just the best. I love Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. I love the food. If people say that turkey's overrated,
it's just bad turkey.
You just are eating bad turkey, my dudes. Turkey is so hard to cook. And I'm not criticizing. I'm sure the people in your life that are cooking the turkeys for you that you don't like are great chefs and great cooks. And I'm sure they make a lot of really good meals. They might just not be great at turkey. Turkey is unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. So definitely, I would call turkey underrated. Overrated.
No way. You can't put that underrated.
I think it is underrated. I think so many people are saying that they don't like turkey, and I'm saying turkey's unbelievable. So it's got to be underrated.
If you don't like turkey, you're literally trolling. That's the whole thing of Thanksgiving is you have a turkey.
I know, but that's what a lot of people say. They're going with ham, which is great. I love ham. But turkey is unbelievable, and we should celebrate it, not do different things. This is no surprise to anybody who has heard my food opinions for a long time. I don't really like sauces. Cranberry sauce is an abomination, and I don't want it anywhere near my plate.
I've never had it, I don't think.
It's not good. It's not good.
I always just kind of avoid it because it just doesn't look that appetizing. But I don't have enough of an opinion to say like cranberry sauce is like overrated because I just don't eat it.
Yeah, well, I don't eat it either. And the fact that it's there at all means that it's overrated. It should be 0 rated. There should be no rating because no one
What's
should
it taste like?
Bad. Yeah,
you're talking about like the can of it, right? Where it's got like the lines.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah. It's like a bad jelly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's not good. Why is everyone in chat? Why is everyone getting mad at me for saying turkey's underrated? I'm saying turkey's great and isn't getting enough respect. I feel, and everyone's saying like I don't love turkey. I'm saying turkey's the best part of the meal, and other people, I don't think that's the common thought of Thanksgiving food, and
that's
so therefore I'm saying it's underrated.
No, you are right. You are right.
Thank you. It's the best.
You explained it much better that time.
Here's the real question though, BaRRa. Stuffing. Do you like the wet stuffing that's like in the bird when it cooks, or stuffing that's like baked?
Well, since you know I'm I don't think I can have the wet stuffing.
Well, yeah, but I'm assuming you used to at some point.
I honestly don't think I ever have had the wet stuffing. I think mine's always been cooked separately in like a pan or whatever.
That is better in my opinion. The actual stuffing is very flavorful, but I'm not a big fan of the consistency of it, the texture. It's very wet.
Yeah, it just sounds really disgusting now to like pull it out.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think that's
yummy.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then last but not least, it's Hiru with another question. An IRL Hunger Games / Survival of the Fittest / Squid Game / Battle Royale kind of deal, but with all of the SPL players stranded on an island with nothing in their pockets. Which SPL player would most likely survive and be number one? That would be able to beat everybody else. I've definitely had this conversation a bunch of times.
Me and genetics are definitely at the bottom of this tier list.
Yeah, well, genetics. Yeah, you would get sick instantly.
Mm-hmm. I would just die. I would
insta die. Yep.
I would like step on something like sharp. My foot would bleed. I would get an infection and then die. Like the first hour on the island, I would die.
Yeah, probably. And then genetics, of course, who needs his insulin, probably not getting that there. But it couldn't be that much more expensive than it is in America, even if he can get it shipped. But yeah, so you two are definitely instantly out.
100%.
Jake is definitely a wild card. I feel like your team generally would do.
My team's terrible.
Really? I think they'd kind of do pretty well.
Really?
I think you're hard carried by Lasbra for sure in this scenario.
Yeah.
Las would do the best out of all your teammates for sure. But I think there's a chance. Let's say that this happens off of a plane. You're doing the Fortnite where we drop it. Okay. Jake is the first one out the door, and no one sees him until the very end. Not a soul.
100%.
No one knows. You ask him what he was doing that whole time, he doesn't know.
He's like burrowed underground.
Yeah. He's a Diglett, dude. He's just...
Actually...
He's literally just Diglett. Yeah, who knows how that guy would do. I think Lasbra would be really good.
Yeah.
I think Ven would be very organized. And ultimately not be on top. But would do pretty well for a while.
Vin would think that he would do way better than he would actually do.
Yeah, that's probably true. I think that's fair. Baskin's also a wild card. Baskin, that man's willing to get his hands dirty if he needs to.
I feel like Baskin would start killing the other SPL players.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not in a mean way, just like a survival.
That's what he's got to do.
Yeah, that's what he has to do. And if it's in the rules, it's fine.
Yeah.
I feel like Cuvo would do really well.
Cuvo would do very well. Neil would do very well.
I don't know about
Vote would do. I think Vote would do well. I think Dardez and Nico would do poorly. Is my guess.
Let's see, Dragons.
Who knows with Scream? Scream's gonna get insta killed. I feel like. Like,
yeah, I feel like Scream is the same as Vin, where he would think he would do really good, and then in actuality just not do
but
great.
way worse. Like, he'd think he'd do way better. Like, Ven's like, I think I might do pretty well. Scream's like, I'm gonna be the best instantly, and instantly out, for sure.
Meanwhile, Jake's just digging somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I could see Alec doing pretty well, and I could see Panda doing really well. I think both of them would do well. Pagon, I have no idea. I don't know him well enough. And Mike, I think Mike would get targeted by everyone. You know? Like, he's going to put himself in a position that is going to get him into some trouble. Because everyone knows he's strong. Everyone knows he's a good leader. And he's a threat. And I think that Mike would have a target on his back.
I just realized it was like team versus team, not player versus player.
No. It could be player. I'm saying even player versus player.
Okay.
Like in any scenario. Mike is definitely. Everyone knows that Mike has the potential to be the most to be their biggest competition. You know, if you're trying to get number one.
Team wise, which would be the best team?
Okay, so Kings would do poorly. Although I could see Captain Twig just becoming completely unhinged. And like going absolutely wild. But yeah, I think Kings would do poorly. I think Dragons would do very well. I think Bolts would be carried by Laz, but not 100%. Do very well. Warriors, I think, would do okay. I'm just gonna.
Leviathans would do terribly.
Leviathans would be last for almost.
Leviathans 8th or worse.
Yep. How do you think the Valkyries would do? I'm not really sure.
Pretty good. I think they're scrappy. I feel like Benny.
Benny is gonna like in their. You know, they're gonna have a whole thing set up, and Benny's gonna like do something, and it's just all gonna fall apart. You know, like that's the vibe I get.
Yeah, maybe Scarabs wouldn't do bad.
No, I think they do pretty poorly.
Oh wait, no. Yeah, Scarabs would be 7th. I think we would be like 6th or 5th, depending on last. Someone in chat said Metroid would instantly haunt Yark.
Get revenge for all those roster spots. How do you think that? I think the Titans would also do poorly.
Yeah, I think Warriors might be the best.
I think Warriors and Dragons are the two best. Warriors, it's pretty close. It depends if Scream ints it or not.
I'm going Warriors.
All right, I'd go Dragons. And then Warriors, and then an absolute chasm, and then maybe Valks, and then Bolts. Yeah. Then it's what, like after that it's like Kings.
Wait, we're 4th?
Yeah, I think you'd be 4th.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Thank Lasbra for your 4th place finish because
without Las would be 8th for sure.
100%. All right, that does it for the show this week, everyone. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you're watching all the SPL games this week. They're going to be really awesome. Big thanks to Betterhelp and Factor, our two sponsors for this episode. Again, betterhelp.com/backliners and go.factor75.com/backliners60 are the two links to go to if you want to help support the show. That is a great way to do it, is by interacting with our sponsors. You can also head on over to our Patreon. Patreon.com/backliners is the place to go for that. We will be back next week talking about the outcome of these playoffs. Barry, good luck. I hope you get the number 1 seed and you don't die at all. You get a pentakill every game. And also... you have some delicious vegan food or something. I don't know how to. I wasn't.
Thank you.
I kind of lost my way there, but that's just how it is. All right, we will see you next week. Barra, you know what to do.
Bye.
Week off doesn't matter.
One.
He's still got it.
Yeah,
He's still got
clean.
it. Right back, like riding a bike. Let's go. Remember playoffs too, Barry. You're locked in. Come on.
Let's go.